Hello everyone, I am Himanshi from DNA Education and today we will start with the first chapter of our NCERT textbook class 10th science, that is chemical reactions and equations. So let us begin with the chapter. First of all, what is a chemical reaction? Students, chemical reaction is an interaction between different elements, compounds or substances. When two or more substances interact with each other, they form new substances, and this whole process is called a chemical reaction. For example, in lower classes you all have studied how magnesium is burnt in air and it produces magnesium oxide. So burning of magnesium and its change into magnesium oxide is a chemical reaction. Now there are a few points which we list to state how a chemical reaction occurs. That means the occurrence of chemical reaction can be witnessed by these changes. First change in color. So if any substance changes color, we say that a chemical reaction has taken place. For example, we all have studied how when we drop an iron piece, for example an iron blade or an iron nail, in copper sulfate solution, the blue color of copper sulfate changes to green color, and this change in color indicates that a chemical reaction has taken place. Second point is change in state. We all know that there are three states of matter: solid, liquid and gas. So if a substance changes state, then also we can infer that a chemical reaction might have taken place. Why might have taken place? Because sometimes change in state can also occur in a physical change, which is not a chemical reaction. For example, if water freezes into ice or ice melts into water, this is a physical change but not a chemical reaction. However, it is not necessary that change in state can occur only in a physical change. It can also occur in a chemical reaction. Next is evolution of gas. Usually it is seen that whenever a chemical reaction takes place, some or other gas is evolved. For example, a very common example is this. When a metal piece of magnesium is dropped into the acid sulfuric acid, then hydrogen gas is released. We have seen the hydrogen gas release is witnessed by the occurrence of pop sound when a burning matchstick is brought near it. See, whenever, suppose we take a vessel and we take an acid in it, for example the sulfuric acid, and we put magnesium metal into it, then magnesium reacts with the acid and forms hydrogen gas bubbles, and when you bring a burning candle or a burning matchstick near these bubbles, a pop sound is heard, which is the indication of the evolution of hydrogen gas. So evolution of gas is one change which occurs during a chemical reaction. Coming to the next point, change in temperature. Sometimes temperature also changes during a chemical reaction. This is seen in case of reaction of calcium oxide with water. When we add water with calcium oxide, the substance or the mixture gets heated up. We can feel the warmth in the vessel if we touch the walls of the vessel. So it indicates that when calcium oxide reacts with water, heat is evolved, that is temperature increases. So change in temperature is also an indication of the occurrence of a chemical reaction. So now when we have studied about chemical reactions, in science we usually need to write the chemical reactions or represent them on a page or a picture, and writing so long names of all the chemicals and statements is not so convenient. So in science we have some standard symbols and icons due to some symbols and icons which we take and use to represent a chemical reaction. In lower classes, in class 9th, you have already studied how different elements are represented by symbols. For example, magnesium is represented by Mg. This is an abbreviation. Calcium is represented by Ca. Similarly, iron is represented by Fe and copper is represented by Cu. Now we will see how we represent chemical equations. chemical reactions in the form of chemical equations. There are two parts of a chemical equation. One is the left hand side and the other is the right hand side. On the left hand side we indicate the reactants. Reactants are those substances which interact with each other during a chemical reaction. The next is the right hand side. The right hand side of the equation represent the products. Products are those substances which are formed due to the interaction between the reactants. The reactants and the products are separated by an arrow in between them. The arrow directed from reactants towards the products. So this is the basic backbone of a chemical equation. Apart from this, we also indicate the state of each and every species taking part in a chemical equation with some symbols. For example, the solid state is represented by the symbol S. Solid state. Similarly, the liquid state is indicated by the symbol small l. And if there is a gas, then gas is represented by the small letter G. Sometimes we make solutions during chemical reactions. Solutions are produced when we dissolve a substance in water. Such solutions are indicated by the symbol AQ, which represents aqueous solutions. So these are the basic symbols. Apart from this, a gas is also indicated by an upward arrow. In chemical reactions, sometimes a precipitate is formed. Now what is a precipitate? When two substances react with each other, sometimes an insoluble solid substance is formed. Because this is insoluble, so it usually settles at the bottom of the vessel or the container. So this is represented by a downward arrow. This indicates the formation of a precipitate. Now let us study the first equation, the reaction of iron with copper sulfate, and use these symbols of representing chemical equations in this reaction. In this reaction, iron is in solid state. So we write S beside the symbol of iron. It reacts with copper sulfate. Now copper sulfate is in liquid state, but it is not taken in the pure form, it is dissolved in water. Hence we do not use the liquid symbol here, we will use the aqueous symbol here because copper sulfate is dissolved in water. So we will represent this by AQ. The copper sulfate solution is blue in color. This is also called blue vitriol because of this blue color. When iron reacts with copper sulfate, iron sulfate is formed and iron sulfate is green in color. This is also in liquid state but dissolved with water. Hence again we will write the symbol of aqueous solution here. And copper deposit is seen in the vessel. This copper is solid in state. So we will write solid symbol. So in this way we represent a chemical equation. Now let us try to write symbols in these equations too. For example, magnesium, it is in solid state, so we will write S here. Sulfuric acid H2SO4, it is again in aqueous form because this is a highly concentrated and a highly reactive acid and we always use it in dissolved form in water. So we write aqueous here. It forms magnesium sulfate, which is again aqueous, and hydrogen gas is evolved. Hydrogen gas is evolved, so we have two options. Either we can write it in this way, but usually we represent it as an arrowhead, an upward arrow indicating the evolution of gas. Similarly, calcium oxide reacts with water to form calcium hydroxide and releases heat. Calcium oxide can be taken in solid form. Remember, calcium oxide is also called as quicklime. And when it reacts with water, it forms calcium hydroxide, which is aqueous. And calcium hydroxide is also called as slaked lime or lime water. And heat is evolved. We can write it as heat or again an arrowhead. This involves This indicates evolution of gas or heat. So in this way we can represent chemical equations. So friends, so far we have studied about a chemical reaction and the representation of chemical reaction in the form of a chemical equation. Now next comes balancing of chemical equations. This is very important in chemistry. What does balancing means? Balancing means that the chemicals on the left hand side of the equations equals to those on the right hand side of the equations. What is meant by this? For example, in this reaction we see that there is one element of iron in the reactants and one element of iron in the products. You have studied the law of conservation of mass. It says that mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. It means that something, if we put something in a vessel, then only a recombination of those elements can take place to form new substances. We cannot change something into something else. For example, iron cannot be converted into magnesium or some other element. Iron will remain iron, but it will be combined in different ways to form new compounds. Hence, if I am adding one element of iron, then in the final mixture I will be getting only one element of iron, not more than one, not less than one. This is the basic principle behind balancing of chemical equations. So in the reactant side we have taken one element of iron, one element of copper and one ion of sulfate. So in the product side we will again have one element of iron, one ion of sulfate and one element of copper. In this way we see that this reaction is balanced. Now coming to the next equation, iron reacts with water to form iron oxide and hydrogen gases evolve. See, in this equation we have one element of iron in the reactants, but we have Fe3. Three elements of iron in the products. This means that this reaction is not balanced. So we need to balance this equation. The thing is that either you choose the element with maximum number of atoms, or usually you can take metal ion to start with balancing. Here the main element is iron. So let us begin with balancing of iron. Here we have three elements of iron. So on that side we can add 3. To indicate three elements of iron. Now you can clearly see that iron is balanced on both sides. Now coming to the next, there are 4 oxygen atoms and only one oxygen atom in the reactants. So means that there are 3 oxygen atoms less on the reactant side. So we will add 4 here. There is one more thing. If we add a number beside a chemical compound, then it indicates 4 of the entire species, means 4 of H2 and 4 of O, and not just 4 of H2. This means that now there are 4 of O here and 4 oxygen here. So oxygen is also balanced. Now the last remaining element is hydrogen. Here are 2 hydrogen atoms multiplied by 4. That means total 8 hydrogen atoms. Here we have only 2 hydrogen atoms. So it is very clear that if we add 4 here, we will get 8 hydrogen atoms here as well. On adding 4, we get 4 to the 8 and 4 to the 8. Now let us see the complete equation again. 3 iron atoms and 3 iron atoms balanced. 4 oxygen atoms and 4 oxygen atoms balanced, 8 hydrogen atoms and 8 hydrogen atoms balanced. So we see that the reaction now appears balanced. So this is how we balance equations, and using this method, this hit and trial method, you can say, you can balance all the equations that you come up with. Now there is one very common equation, which is the equation of photosynthesis that we all study from lower classes. We know that during photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water react with each other in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to produce glucose, C6H12O6, oxygen and water. So let us try to balance this equation of photosynthesis. We see that there are 6 carbon atoms in the products. So there should be 6 carbon atoms in the reactants. Similarly, there are 12 hydrogen atoms here in the products, so there should be 12 water molecules, or sorry, there should be 12 hydrogen atoms in the reactants. Now the remaining part is this: there are 6 oxygen atoms, so there should be by writing the number 6, we see that total 6 oxygen atoms plus 12, 18 and plus 6. Again we get the same number of oxygen atoms in the reactants as well as in the products. The number of carbon atoms, number of hydrogen atoms and number of oxygen atoms are all balanced in this equation now. So in this way, balancing of chemical reactions is very important, and we can solve all the problems of our equations and balance our equations using these methods. For more details of the chapter, you can just log in to www.dnaeducation.com, and don't forget to watch the next session for the further enhancement of the chapter. Thank you.